going on, everyone? This is Sonic Mix, and today I am going to give my review of Monday Night Raw WWE for June 3rd, 2013. And overall, this was a pretty enjoyable show with, of course, a few exceptions of one-star matches, and there was a lot of backstage slash promo segments, which we haven't really seen a lot of that in quite some time on a Raw show, for that matter. But without further ado, let us begin. So the night kicks off with a surprise return from Stephanie McMahon, her first appearance in like a year or two. The last time I remember Stephanie McMahon being on a show was during the whole CM Punk John Cena story heading towards SummerSlam. This was a pretty good promo for what it was worth, actually. Stephanie McMahon did get a lot of good reactions of cheers and boos. And then later on, Vince McMahon comes out. And of course, Vince McMahon, he always gets the much bigger cheer and boos if there's something that people agree or disagree with him on. And there was and basically, the promo was basically about how Triple H was that he shouldn't be competing, that even if he is medically clear that he shouldn't. And Stephanie was saying that my husband, my husband Paul, which that's his real life name, shouldn't be wrestling. He should not wrestle. Then Vince McMahon comes out, says the same thing, and there's a part in the promo where he says that well, it was with the whole Ryback giving a powerbomb to Kofi Kingston through a table 3 times on SmackDown, and Vince McMahon says, all of you people were chanting one more time, yet we are a family-based show, and we're not bloodthirsty people. And I know a lot of people, I know probably for the hardcore fans, they got probably a little bit mad on that. And I know there was one fan, and you could hear the fan clearly saying that we want blood. And you know what? This is what I have to say about the blood. When someone bleeds, it's pretty stupid how they have to technically stop the match and clean up the guy because he's bleeding. And it's very stupid because it's like years ago, if somebody bleeded, you let the match go. You never aid him. You went on until the match was over. Now you have to aid him during the match, and it just makes the quality of the match look weak. Now, if it was like a very serious cut, like it was like gushing out like Eddie Guerrero style, like what happened with him at Judgment Day in 05 when he fought, or 04, I mean, when he fought JBL in that one match at Judgment Day, well then, okay, I guess that's understandable, but then again, look what happened with Eddie Guerrero on that. He got busted open. He was squirting out blood. They didn't stop the match. So it's like, why are they stopping the match? And you know what? If you're going to add blood, add it only where the match is important. Like, for instance, Cena versus Ryback, I think there should be blood in the match. And maybe Punk, Jericho, but you don't really need blood in that match. I think, in all honesty, if you're going to add a blood stipulation, that's where you add it to Ryback versus Cena in the 3 stages of hell. Just to make the match add more to it and make the match very more intense. But a very enjoyable promo. I actually enjoyed this for what it was, as a matter of fact. I give it a 3 out of 5. I thought it was really good promo. Really good from what Stephanie and Vince McMahon pulled out. Then we get into our first actual match of the day. It is the Shield versus Randy Orton and Team Hell No. What more can I say? Enjoyable match from start to finish. Daniel Bryan getting the biggest pop from the crowd. Good pace to it. 17 minutes. As I've said this before, I am very happy that the WWE is giving the Shield, these 3 hungry athletes, so much time. And I'm really thankful that they're making this faction a very strong stable. Very strong stable. And these 3 guys are definitely going to be mega stars. I have a feeling that they're definitely going to be big time stars in the end. And then, of course, in the end of the match, Randy Orton tries to go for an RKO on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns counters, pushes Orton into Daniel Bryan. Then Dean Ambrose gives that facebuster-like move to Bryan and then wins the match. Very good match from start to finish. Highly recommend watching it in case if you guys ever want to watch a good match. 3.5 out of 5. Definitely the match of the night. And what a way for an opening match. Then we have the Team Hell No Randy Orton backstage segment of how Daniel Bryan now thinks that Randy Orton is now that Randy Orton thinks that Daniel Bryan is a weak link and so forth. Very enjoyable. I actually enjoy what I am seeing here. And Daniel Bryan then goes off and says that I'll prove to you guys that I'm going to be in another match, which he does end up being in another match, which we'll explain later on. And typical fashion. And I think I really hope that they can play this storyline really well and definitely make Daniel Bryan like this, kind of like this comeback kid, and make the comeback kid story of Daniel Bryan just impressive. I really hope that they don't drop the ball with him. I really hope that they don't. A 2.25 out of 5 for the segment. Then right after that, we get the Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and Vince McMahon backstage segment of how Vince McMahon and Stephanie don't want Triple H to wrestle, and Triple H then basically says, fine, I won't wrestle, but believe me, next week I will be in the ring. This was your typical fashion of how somebody thinks that the person shouldn't be wrestling, but then of course later on they end up wrestling, but not in this case. Triple H actually decides not to wrestle and and waits to next week for the next week's Raw. Nothing really too special. It's one of those promos that you've seen already, but for something like this we haven't. So it was kind of interesting for what it was. I give this a 2 out of 5. And you know what? It looks like that they might actually try to pull off a storyline with this, maybe. I don't know. I mean, even though Triple H is considered a part-time wrestler now, I mean, I don't know. If it plays out well, it might be enjoyable, but I don't know. I think Triple H should only do those once in a while matches where he should maybe just try to push up somebody like a young guy like Curtis Axel, which I'm going to mention about Curtis Axel in a little while. Then our second match of the day was the Usos versus the Primetime Players. Decent match for the 4 minutes that they were given. They really tried to pull off a good match. Slow pace here and there. And surprisingly, the Usos actually pick up a win after like 100 losses. And you know what, actually, I'm very happy that the Usos won this match because they're a very talented tag team. And the way that they've been treated on Raw, SmackDown is not right. And I think definitely this tag team should be pushed to a tag team star points and not being like jobber tag teams. So I hope in a way that the Usos can somehow the WWE gives the Usos a chance to shine and make them tag team champions, because I really think that they can run with the ball as tag team champions. I give it a 2-star just because of the fact of the Usos' victory, and that I really think that the Usos deserve that win. Because if it was the Primetime Players, I probably would have given this maybe a 1.5, maybe a 1.75. But because of the Usos won, I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to give the match a 2-star. Even for the 4 minutes, 5 minutes that they had, 2-star match. And once again, I'm thankful that the WWE actually gave the Usos the win on this one. Up next was Alberto Del Rio versus Big E Langston, which I never knew there was a best 3 out of 5 match when that came up. You know what? I know I've been repeating myself for the last 4 of these matches, so hopefully this is the last time I have to repeat myself. Long story short, 5-minute match, good pace. It was a very good, mediocre, fast-paced match, and in the end, Del Rio has the cross arm bar, and he somehow Big E lances trying to overpower, and then somehow he tries to roll back. Del Rio counters his rollback and gets a pin 1-2-3 count and gets the win. That is all. I hope I don't have to mention this match again. And hopefully if I do mention this match, it's a big match that's at least going to go on for at least a good 8-9 minutes. 2-star match. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think all of the matches from their first match to what's hopefully their last, which I think it is, has all been 2-star matches. So, and it's all been 4 or 5 minute matches. So I think in a way, the pace that they've gone, if they were given the 9-10 minutes, this could have been, they could pull off maybe a close to a 3-star match, maybe, but that's hard to say. Up next was Sheamus versus Cody Rhodes. This was a decent match. I actually enjoyed this match. Had a good pace to it. Good spots, actually, with the outside of the ring and how Cody Rhodes hit Sheamus after Sheamus missed the one punch. And there was another spot. I don't remember what the spot was. I can't think of it off of my head. But there was another spot. I can't think of it at the moment. But very enjoyable. Even though it was only like 5 minutes. But it was enjoyable. It was good. It was basically a good spot matchup. That's the way I can pretty much look at it. I give it a 2.25 out of 5. Up next, we have another backstage segment with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. This one was pretty short. Really nothing much to be said. This is basically Triple H getting in a limo and driving off. And Triple H saying that basically like that geezy, greasy bastard, referring to Vince McMahon, he might try to control me, but I'm going to be wrestling that Curtis Axel whenever I get the chance to. And just really kind of short. Really nothing special out of it. I give it a 1.75 out of 5. And then right next after that, we get another backstage segment. Like I said in the beginning of this video, a lot of promo backstage segments. I've never seen so many of this in one Raw. And I think this has been quite a while, actually. But anyway, continuing onwards. We get another backstage segment with Daniel Bryan and Ryback. Now, although this promo or backstage segment was okay, the one thing that just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth was the whole Ryback making a reference of how he said something like last year he came down with the stomach flu and that his throw-up was more bigger than his. Very stupid, very tedious of how they said it. In all honesty, they could have came up with something better. Why they came up with something stupid like that, I don't know. It just made that segment look so stupid and dull, and it was pointless. It was stupid. It's like, why would you even bring that up? 1.75 out of 5, and like I said, that just what Ryback said was just wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. At least that's how I felt. Then right next after that, once again, we get another backstage segment with Paul Heyman, Curtis Axel, and Vince McMahon. This was your standard, this is who you're going to face besides Triple H. Basically, Vince McMahon says to Curtis Axel, you will be in competition tonight, and you will be facing John Cena in the main event. And that was basically about it. Then there was some other talks after that. 2 out of 5. Really nothing much to talk about with that segment. Now, probably the worst match of this entire night. Fandango versus the Great Khali. Went for about a minute, maybe 2. Very terrible. Unwatchable. And the match technically is a no-end contest. What happens in the end is Fandango leaves, the Miz stops him, Wade Barrett comes out, gives him the bullhammer, and there's no bell ring, and it's like, okay. I'm actually going to say this, it was a 0.75 out of 5, not even a star match. It was that bad of a match. I couldn't stand watching this. And you know what, I have to say something. How is somebody like the Great Khali still with this company? That doesn't make sense. I mean, he is probably the worst wrestler in WWE history. Probably will go down as the worst ever. And he's still with this company since 2006, I believe, when he debuted. And, oh god, if it was me, this guy would have been long gone 3 years ago. I will tell you that much. Hell, probably sooner than 2010. But, let's just jump in. So after that match, we then jump into another match, and it's Wade Barrett versus The Miz. Not really much of a good match. It only lasted about maybe 3-4 minutes, somewhere around there. And Fandango comes out, and he gives a distraction to Wade Barrett, and I love the counter, or how, yeah, I guess you could say kind of like a counter in a way, how The Miz was on the ground, trips up Barrett, and somehow gives him the figure 4 without actually standing up and applying like that. Very, very innovative. I've never seen a figure 4 be done like that before. And I don't even think Ric Flair has never done anything like that before, as far as I can remember. He might have done it, but if he did, it was probably way before I was born. If he has done it, leave a comment on the bottom if Ric Flair has done something what The Miz did, being on the ground, on his back, and doing it. If he's done it, leave a comment. If not, still leave a comment. And like I said, if Ric Flair has done something like that before, it's probably before I was born. And I was born in 1990, so I know Ric Flair's been wrestling since, like, the dinosaur age or something like that. Which I think it's been, like, what, the 80s, mid-80s, early 80s, around there. But, I give it a 1.5 stars, just because that they did pull off a good match for the 3-4 minutes that they had. And the counter was very impressive in the end. So, 1.5 out of 5. Then up next was the Chris Jericho, Paul Heyman contract signing with CM Punk to take on Chris Jericho in Chicago at Payback. Very solid promo here. I like the fact how Paul Heyman said to Chris Jericho, you might have Jerichoholics here, but you're going to get booed out entirely in Chicago at the Allstate Arena, which I will be going to WWE Payback, and I can actually see all of the people in Chicago booing the hell out of Chris Jericho and cheering like there was no tomorrow for CM Punk for his return. However, I did see this in one other... I saw this in a questions and answers video, and someone mentioned that they thought that Chris Jericho might turn heel and side with Paul Heyman. The way I think of it, that wouldn't make sense, because it's like CM Punk is not around, and it's kind of like Paul Heyman agreed without CM Punk's permission. So maybe it could happen. And if it does happen, if Chris Jericho turns heel, makes Punk a face, and Jericho sides with Paul Heyman, I think it would be very interesting. I definitely think Paul Heyman and Chris Jericho can definitely work great together. I think it would be magic with those two. But very good promo, and I kind of liked how in the end Chris Jericho kind of gave like a little bit of a TV-14 segment, how he took the contract and shoved it down Paul Heyman's pants. So it was kind of a cool TV-14 moment in a way. I give it a 3 out of 5. It was a very good, enjoyable promo. Up next was the Bella Twins and AJ Lee against Caitlyn and the Funkadactyls. Typical Divas match, 3-on-3. But, in all honesty, I found this match to be a little enjoyable than Fandango versus the Great Khali. Yes, surprisingly. And to be more surprised, because this match was at least a little decent than what normal women's matches are, I give it a star out of 5. I really do. This match was actually more enjoyable than Fandango against the Great Khali. Yes, I've actually said it. Once again, 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. Up next, we get the final backstage segment with Daniel Bryan and Kane this time. This segment was basically a motivator of how basically Kane was saying that he's been in this business for a long time. He's seen the guys with so much fire, and they go in and day out, day in and day out. And this was kind of like a big motivation speech from Kane to Daniel Bryan. And it looked like Daniel Bryan was going to maybe kind of break down in a way. Daniel Bryan's like, no, I want to prove to you that I am not the weak link, and I want to prove to everyone else who thinks that I am the weak link, I want to prove them wrong. And I'm really loving the way that they're building Daniel Bryan to be looked at as this weak link. And I really hope, like I mentioned before, that if they do this right, I hope they make him like this mega star, and definitely make him as like this big mega star comeback kid in a way. And if they could do something like that, this can definitely be looked like a Shawn Michaels moment. Like it was mentioned during the Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart match in WrestleMania, the boyhood dream has come true. This would be more like the comeback kid is now WWE champion. So kind of similar in a way, and I think it would definitely be something how people could kind of relate to a Shawn Michaels and Daniel Bryan in a way. 2.25 out of 5. I definitely enjoyed this promo, this backstage segment. Up next was Daniel Bryan versus Ryback. This was a solid match. For the 15 minutes that they were given, this was a solid match. Daniel Bryan showing his good athletic wrestling ability, Ryback being the dominant powerhouse that he was, and this was a very good pace match. And Ryback looked very good in this match against Daniel Bryan. Although the ending with the disqualification of how Ryback put him through the table, not a fan of it, but at the same time I like the fact that he tried to do a repeat segment of it, but then Cena came out, and then Curtis Axel then comes out after that, and then we get our main event. Really quick, Daniel Bryan versus Ryback, 3 out of 5. Definitely a solid, good match. And then finally, John Cena versus Curtis Axel once again in the main event. The first half of the match started okay. It was going good. It was going good for the pace that it was. But then, all of a sudden, the next half completely flopped. They were basically not doing no type of wrestling. It was basically just using a steel chair, and that was basically it. There was little wrestling the first half, then there was like none whatsoever. And then in the end, Ryback interferes, puts Cena through a table, and once again, Curtis Axel wins with another count-out win. So you're building up Curtis Axel, and you've given him now 3 main events, and all 3 of those main events have all been count-out victories. I was so hoping that Curtis Axel was going to win with a clean pin, or at least just a pin victory, but a count-out? Nice way to build up a star. And you know what? The WWE needs to stop having Cena lose in these tedious count-out wins, because how are you going to build a star when you're going to give him count-out victories? Because let's face it, Cena's not gonna be around for long. There's gonna come a point where he's gonna have to step down, and when he does step down, who's gonna be the next big mega superstar? The next big mega wrestler? There's gonna be no one. And you're gonna have to start having a young guy, maybe somebody like Dean Ambrose or Curtis Axel, win over John Cena, win over Triple H with a clean pin, just so that he gets over with the fans and he becomes a believable character. Because if you start doing this, you're not going to build up anyone. You're not going to build up anyone. 1.75 out of 5. Terrible match. Terrible main event. Did not like the ending. Did not like basically the halfway point of the match. And once again, I wouldn't say bury, but once again, they make Curtis Axel look weak in a way by giving him another count-out victory. And like I mentioned before, this is how you build up a superstar. You know what? Give Curtis Axel the damn freaking pin victory and make him a rising star and a believable star. And that's all I got to say. So overall, I give this Raw, I give it a 6.25 out of 5. It was definitely enjoyable. 4 3-star matches slash promo, 2 3-star promo, and 2 3-star matches plus. There was at least 7 matches that I thought were 2-star, and everything else was below 2-star. So enjoyable for what it was. And I definitely give it a 6.25 out of 5. Some people might give it a 6, maybe a 5.75, but I found it enjoyable. And there was, your matches that were also decent and okay for what it was worth. So 6.25 out of 5. I know I might sound like I'm giving it a little bit too much of a high rating, but with 2 promos that I thought were at least 3-star and 2 matches that were 3 stars, it does kind of make up for at least some of the matches. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching my review of WWE Monday Night Raw for June 3rd, 2013. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please do leave your comments on the bottom of this video. Please tell me how you thought of this Raw was. And until then, you guys have a good night. And I will see you guys later. Catch you later.